Today's math lesson is on telling time, quarter hour and 5 minutes. If you guys remember, last week we covered telling time to the hour and the half hour, and so now we're getting more specific with telling time using an analog clock. All right, so what does it mean to tell time? Well, time, simply put, is what a clock reads. It is continuous and can be thought of in three categories. So past time, which has already happened, present time, which is currently happening in this moment, and the future time will happen soon. To tell the time, we use a clock. It's also important to remember that the day, there are 24 hours in a day, and so time of day is separated into two halves, right? There's AM, which is early morning and there's PM, afternoon and night. So there's 24 hours in a day, 12 of those hours are AM hours, 12 of those hours are PM hours. So as before, we have these two images of a clock. Over here on the left side, you have a digital clock, which just literally lists the numbers as the time. And then here we have an analog clock. An analog clock also has numbers. However, these numbers also represent increments of 5, as we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. And so each of these numbers stands for an increment of 5 minutes, from 5 all the way to 60 minutes, or one whole hour. And it uses what we call hands to tell the time. There's a short hour hand, and then there's the long minute hand. And then there is a second ticker sometimes. Not all clocks have these, but the clocks that you see in school do. So I use that example. All right, so digital clock, analog clock. So telling time using an analog clock. As I said earlier, the shorthand is the hour hand. Remember that, shorthand, hour hand. The long hand, which in this example here it's in red, is the minute hand. So long hand, minute hand. On an analog clock, each number value on the clock, as before, represents an increment or value of 5 minutes, up to 60 minutes, which is considered one full hour. As you can see on this clock right here, each minute, or each number value rather, has its 5-minute increment value written in red. So right here is 1, that stands for 5 minutes, okay? 2 stands for 10 minutes, okay? 3 is 15 minutes, 4 is 20, 5 is 25, 6, if the minute hand is pointing to 6, would be 30 minutes. And then of course, in between, you'll notice the 6 and the 7, there are little dashes around. Those dashes tell you the minutes still. So this would be 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and so on, all the way around the clock. So this clock in particular reads as 3:10. How do I know? Well, the hour hand is pointing towards the 3, and the minute hand, which is the long hand, is pointing on 2. And if I know my increments of 5, I know that the 2 represents the passing of 10 minutes. Okay, so it's really helpful to have this memorized or to have a visual to refer to, at least when we're first telling time to a more exact number, which would be a quarter hour and 5 minutes. So if you watched a previous video on telling time, you already know how to partially tell time to the quarter hour. You actually, if you can tell time to the hour and the half hour, that's actually partly quarter hours. If we divide a clock into quarters, which is 4 equal pieces, we get 4 intervals of 15 minutes, okay? And so that sounds confusing, but I'll break it down for you. If the minute hand, long hand, is on the 3, 15 minutes have passed the hour, quarter past. If the minute hand is on the 6, we say that is 30 minutes past, or half past the hour. Notice that 6 is halfway in between the clock, right? If the minute hand, long hand, is on the 9, we say it is 45 minutes past the hour, or a quarter until the new hour. And then if the minute hand, long hand, is on the 12, 60 minutes have passed, it is on the hour or blank o'clock, whatever the hour hand is pointing to, okay? So in this case, this clock reads as 12:15. The hour hand is pointing to the 12, the minute hand is pointing to the 3. So 12:15, it's a quarter past 12. All right, to tell time to the 5-minute interval, simply identify what each number value of the clock stands for by skip counting by 5. So we're literally going to skip count this clock. So I start at 1. So I'm going to go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60, and it starts anew again because an hour has passed. It's a new hour. So the 00 just means o'clock. So the time on this clock, for example, would be 5:05, okay? The hour hand is on the 5, and the minute hand is on the 1, which tells me, 1 represents 5 minutes have passed. So now we're going to fill this clock out. I feel like practicing this skill is really informative for telling time, okay? So I want you to look at this clock and we are going to figure out what goes in each blank, all right? So if this represents an hour passing, we're going to count the tick marks to tell us the minutes that have passed. So this is 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So the 1 on an analog clock stands for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. And I'll let you figure out the rest. That's right. 3 stands for 15. Keep on counting. The 4 represents 20 minutes have passed. 5 is 25. You already know that 6 is half hour or 30 minutes. 7 is 35. 8 would be 40. Nice. 9 is 45 minutes, right? Or quarter till. The 10 represents 50 minutes. The 11 represents 55. And the 12 is 00 o'clock on the hour. Awesome. So now we're going to look at these clocks and we are going to figure out what time it is. We're going to remember that the shorthand is the hour hand. So for example, this would be the shorthand, the hour hand. And then the long hand is the minute hand. This would be the long hand, minute hand. So if I'm starting with the hour hand, moving to the minute, I know that the time is 4:10 for this clock. All right, 4:10. All right, let's look at the next one. Let's see. Well, it's in between, the hour hand's in between the 12 and the 1. If it's in between two numbers, I always go with the number that comes before. So that would be 12. And then the minute hand is pointing to the 7. I know that 7 represents 35 minutes. So the time is 12:35 in this case. All right. I'll do one more with you. Let's see. Here we have the hour hand is in between the 4 and the 5, but it's not quite on the 5, right? So we're going to go with the number that comes before, which is 4. And then my minute hand is on the 9, which tells me it is 4:45, a quarter till 5, right? All right, look at the next 6 clocks and figure out the time.